It's Central Florida. The weather changes every day. How should you dress the kids? Should you bring the umbrella?
And we know traffic changes constantly. How can we get you to work on time? Avoid a crash, make your mornings easier for you.
You grab the coffee. We'll take care of the weather and traffic.
You're watching WKMG News 6 Orlando.
A wrong forecast can ruin a lot more than your day. Knowing how the weather will affect where you are or where you're going with pinpoint accuracy down to the minute, that's what News 6 can do for you. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, weeknights on News 6.
You're watching WKMG News 6 Orlando. Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 3. Welcome to News 6 at 3 p.m. This is the only live broadcast happening in Central Florida right now. We're glad you could join us for it. We have so much news happening for you in the News 6 newsroom this afternoon. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gatson. We like to get to the breaking news without all the noise, and we start this Tuesday with some breaking news. Out of Volusia County, actually, Daniel Cook of Edgewater has been arrested. There's his mugshot right there on your screen. He was arrested yesterday on state charges of making written threats and making threats against a law enforcement officer. And it goes beyond that. In his first court appearance, the judge mentioned that his alleged victims are, listen to this, Governor Ron DeSantis, Secret Service Director Sean Curran, and Volusia Sheriff Mike Chitwood. I can't imagine that. The judge ruled he can't have any contact with the three victims. He's being held currently on no bond. Of course, that's a story we're going to continue to follow.
Very high-profile targets really there for this guy.
I'm going to guarantee you, if I check Sheriff Chitwood's Twitter page, he probably is already.
He probably has a response, I would imagine.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one for you. Something else we're keeping a close eye on that you're going to start to feel in the coming days is our forecast. So we want to bring in our weather guru at 3 o'clock, meteorologist Julie Broughton, is one of our top stories today, because that's all people are talking about. They thought, a lot of people are saying, when's the cold coming? When's it coming? Oh, be careful what you ask for.
Right, you'll know when it's coming. So tomorrow's kind of a transition day for us when we start to see the beginning of those changes. But I want you to look at what we can expect when you wake up Friday morning. So look at these temperatures.
Oh, wow.
Friday morning, we'll wake up at 35 in Orlando. We're talking about 29 in Ocala, 39 in Melbourne. So remember, the average low this time of year is right around 49 degrees. But we always say these are the important numbers. These are our wind chill readings. So this is how it feels. So we're talking about as the kids are going out to school, and Matt and I talked about this yesterday. Teenagers, they don't like the coats.
No.
But it might be a day where they might want to entertain the idea of a coat. It will feel like 28 in Orlando. It will feel like 26 in Ocala.
I just want to know how many old sweaters am I going to have to drag out, because it seems like this spell is going to last a little bit.
Right. This is going to last until Monday, and we're potentially talking about the coldest air since 2022. We'll talk much more about that coming up about 3:45.
I say let the kids not wear the sweaters. They'll pay for it, and they'll learn a good lesson.
They won't learn.
Thank you so much.
They won't learn.
You're right. They won't learn. That's absolutely true. All right, let's talk some Tallahassee, because today is a big day, in fact, in the state of Florida, as it is the beginning of the legislative session. So you might be wondering, what are these lawmakers going to be talking about? Well, there are a wealth of decisions they have to make. So they have 60 days to pass almost 1,800 bills that have been filed. Obviously, they're not going to pass anywhere near 1,800, but that's how many they have to sift through. We've already talked about a number of issues likely to be discussed. The big one everybody's talking about, property taxes. Will they go away? If so, how's that going to happen? It's going to end up in your ballot in November. Growth management, how to manage all of this growth all over the place. We're seeing that in places like Oviedo. And AI. Everybody's having to make decisions on this nationally. Right, yeah, a lot of people talking about that. How do you manage artificial intelligence and what it's going to do to our workforce? The governor has already announced a special session to redraw Florida's congressional map. That's ahead of the November midterm election that'll happen in April. Here's the governor talking about all of this today.
My message is simple. Get the bills to my desk. In the spirit of 1776, I'm happy to put my John Hancock on those pieces of legislation. Now, Ben Franklin told us we could have a republic, but only if we could keep it. We are doing our part here in Florida to keep it.
Governor with a history lesson.
Yeah, he's going old school there today.
He went way back.
Obviously, he is hoping big things happen this legislative session, but there is more of a contentious relationship between him and the House and the Senate than there was in previous legislative sessions that we've seen.
All right, we always like to know what you think, so we take a daily poll, and today's poll is about the legislative session, so let's put up your choices here, and you can scan the QR code to weigh in on the topics, and we hope that you do. That QR code will take you to clickorlando.com. Here's the question: which topic would you like to see the Florida legislature tackle in 2026?
No surprises here.
And right now, property tax reform at 75%. That's what a lot of people are hoping for. I know earlier today, Julie Broughton was saying that AI was the #1 talker that people were interested in seeing them tackle.
But property taxes affect you
yeah.
right now if you own a home in the state of Florida.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do and how they do it. So again, take that poll and go to clickorlando.com. We would love to see what you think and what, you know, the way that you would like to see the legislature, what they would talk about. All right, we're getting a look at the moments of some crazy video. It's a story we brought to you a couple of weeks ago, and we couldn't quite put all the pieces together. There was a 60-year-old man who was with a 15-year-old boy, and then they found an 11-year-old on the floorboard of that truck. It was really such a crazy puzzle that we were trying to put together. And thanks to dash cam and body-worn video, we now have a better idea of what happened in this alleged kidnapping case. Let's take a look.
Sheriff's office, let me see it! Let me see it! Lay out!
Again, this is out of Flagler County, I should say. And just seeing for the first time how far into the brush this happened. It was a pit maneuver where the 15-year-old is driving this truck. The cop car comes and the deputy car comes and does that maneuver. You see it crash, and we're now seeing how far into the brush that 15-year-old crashed after running from police.
Goodness, landed on its top.
Yeah, he sped into that white pickup truck after deputies arrested Darnell Hairston on kidnapping and child abuse charges. Eventually, after he crashed that truck, he ran away. They chased him, and you see the aftermath of that right there. I'm surprised anybody got out of that thing alive. Now, News 6 is not naming him or showing his face because he's a minor, and he has not been charged with a violent crime. We asked officials for an update on this case, and right now we have no updates. But the 15-year-old at some point looked like he may have helped lure that 11-year-old, so this Daniel Hairston guy could get him. Now, we're still trying to make sure that that is the case, but we're not naming any
We still
of them
don't
right
know, but we just know he took off in that car to try to get away from police as soon as all this went down, which
it was
now everybody's
crazy.
wondering what his involvement is. Yeah.
All right, another story that we have to tell you about. We started talking about and learning about this story last night at 11 o'clock, and it involves a teacher at a few schools. He was not a band director, but he was in the music department.
Instruments.
Yeah, a high school music director in Brevard County is in a lot of trouble after investigators say he had an inappropriate relationship with a 16-year-old student.
Right, and he's 19 years old. Now he's facing a bunch of charges, and he is barred from ever teaching at this school again. Your community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, tells us more about this story. So a lot of people talking about that story, specifically the age of this music director, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Couldn't even have graduated college by now.
Not a whole,
but has that job.
He's not that far removed from high school, actually.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about some noisy road work. Nothing will wake you up angry like some construction right outside your door.
After getting home at midnight, listen to this. All right, we told you about this last week. People living near State Road 417, this is in Oviedo, were complaining about loud equipment being rolled in for road work. And that was just the equipment coming in. Today, the work actually began, and crews now widening the road from 4 lanes to 8. This is all happening between State Road 426 and State Road 434 in Seminole County. And you can hear that constant banging right there. Again, this is the pile driving, and that's just the equipment arriving. Construction will take place between 6 in the morning and until 8 at night through the first week of February, but you got to feel sad for the people who live in this area, and that's a really densely populated area. That's why they're widening it. Because
6 in the morning is the start time? Are you kidding me?
No, because think about it. If they're going to, I mean, that's at least through February, but this is going to take some time to widen it as much as they want to widen it. And some of that work will probably be happening during the summer. That's when it's really hot. So you got to start your job early. You got to start early in the day. You can't
ask
wait
those
till noon to
neighbors.
start.
I bet they'd say you could probably push it to 8.
We want the convenience, we just don't want the noise. That's all.
That's the truth.
All right, a lot of you, as we mentioned, are talking about something that's happening, whether you like it or not, the cold weather, and you're chiming in on it online.
That and one of our biggest school districts being called into question. Are there some shortcomings when it comes to keeping kids safe there? We'll talk about that coming up after a break.
Coming up in the morning, rain chances rise before a major cool down. Candace will have your forecast every 10 minutes.
Plus, cold plunges are the hot new fitness trend, but do they really work? We're going to talk to the experts.
We'll see you for News 6 Mornings starting at 6.
Why watch News 6? The News 6 neighborhood network with community correspondents in every county.
Community correspondent.
Community correspondent.
Orange County community correspondent.
Lake County community correspondent.
Deeper investigations that affect you.
I feel like you've been forgotten.
We have been forgotten.
They don't want to pay up. That mysterious videotape arrived in the mail.
This is freedom.
And the News 6 results desk where you tell us what's important in your neighborhood.
There's only one station to watch in Central Florida. There's only one News 6.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Greenway Kia. We want to see you in a Greenway Kia.
All right, of course, we will be covering that meeting at 5 o'clock. It's a very important issue. You need those SROs in your school because
Every parent wants those protecting their kids.
Yeah, that is for sure. Okay, we love it that we have so many people and so many moving parts here in the newsroom. But a part that moves around a lot is our, we call him DJ. I don't even know what that stands for.
That's his name.
I don't know. I don't know. So he's always on the internet trying to figure out what you want to know about.
And there is a clear dominant trend on our social media, on clickorlando.com. Today, locals are talking about the weather. Take a look. I don't even believe there's a car under there.
Oh my God. Okay, no wonder. When I do occasionally spot him, he does look very happy in the newsroom. And now I know why.
You think it's just because he lives down here?
I
would imagine
wouldn't
so.
you?
By the way, I don't feel bad for the person. I just stepped off the cruise ship and I was shivering me timbers. I feel terrible for you.
You're a pirate.
All right, that's what they said. All right, let's talk about tariffs. They're coming, some new ones, and they're coming to an already tense Middle East.
Plus, you use a phone charger every single day to keep them powered up, but there's one being recalled. We'll tell you about it when we come back.
It's funny, everybody in the newsroom huddled around their TVs. Which wireless charger are we talking about?
They're everywhere.
Oh, it's a pink one. I don't have to worry about it. That's good. All right. Hey, we still have a lot more coming for you right here on News 6 at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, including people are talking about a push to protect the wildlife, specifically those beautiful swans out at Lake Eola. And we're also checking in with our community correspondents to tell you what they're working on today.
Also headed for a court battle between a current Orlando City Commissioner and her predecessor. We're going to take you to the action inside the courtroom. First, though, we're going to leave you with a live look at the big board here. The Dow taking a little bit of a beating today, down 439 points right now.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Closets by Design.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock. It is your only live and local newscast at this hour where you can get the latest breaking news and all the information you need to go about your day.
And one of the best things about this show right here is our community correspondents. These are people embedded in your community. They usually live there, they sleep there, and they're constantly digging up stories, and that's what we like to feature in this block. Right?
Yeah, and they care about these communities, too, because, as you mentioned, they do live there. So sometimes when we cover a story, it means revisiting a story. That's a follow-up. Our community correspondent Molly Reed joins us now with one of those stories. And Molly, it's something you've talked about before, but we're getting some more information, and you're back.
I am, Ginger. So it's hard to believe it's already been 1 year since we first did this story. This was one of the biggest stories we covered.
And Molly, I bet you find that the neighbors who live in that community are paying very close attention to how this whole thing plays out, huh?
Absolutely. Those two dog owners, they ended up being charged with tampering with evidence. So they're going to be keeping an eye on the courthouse here with those owners. But of course, they're also paying attention to if anything like this ever happens again, there's some strict rules in place to hold those new owners accountable.
Yeah, and hopefully nothing like this ever happens again, and you won't have to cover a story like this again. But you do a great job out in that community. Molly, thank you for that update and the follow-up. Appreciate it.
So you met our community correspondent. We also have a team of investigators here. One thing they're always looking at very closely are our courts. Definitely here in Central Florida and sometimes all around the country.
Okay, so investigator Donovan Myrie joins us now. Come on in. And Donovan, you have been following 3 lawsuits against 2 car companies. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it's been a big deal because for Hyundai and Kia, we all know that the Kia Boys Challenge, okay, the TikTok challenge, where you can basically break into a Hyundai or a Kia, stick in the USB port, turn it, and away you go. Well,
I think you just told people how to do it.
No, I think you two did that.
Hey, it's been out there. It's been out there since like 2020. Right. So you've got 2 lawsuits. Again, that $9 million, $4.5 to the states, $4.5 million to customers, and that goes through March of 2026 or 2027. Then there's a $1 billion lawsuit.
You buried the lead.
It was the buildup, I guess.
Yeah, it's the weird thing. I didn't know this as I was researching this story, and the $1 billion lawsuit is for insurance companies. The term is subrogation, and basically what that means is after an insurance company pays you out, they can turn around and now go after that money from somebody, and they're going after Hyundai and Kia.
That's an SAT word if I ever heard one.
I had never heard that word before, subrogation. So 3 lawsuits, $1 billion lawsuit, still waiting and going, $145 million lawsuit, settled but on hold because of an appeal, and the $9 million lawsuit that you saw on the graphic, which basically is $4.5 million to the states, $4.5 million to
I like how
customers.
the insurance companies get the $1 billion lawsuit. Isn't that the way it always tends to work out?
And I know you've got something online about this on clickorlando.com.
Yeah, and if you go on clickorlando.com, it really goes into a lot more depth into it, and it really does explain it a lot better than I think I could.
No, it's a lot to tackle. Yeah, great job.
Investigator Donovan Myrie, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Well, let's talk about one of your representatives on Capitol Hill who introduced a pretty controversial bill, this one regarding Greenland, right? So Randy Fine, U.S. Representative Randy Fine, his district covers parts of Flagler, Lake, Marion, Volusia counties. He filed a bill to annex Greenland and to make it the 51st state. Fine's office says the Greenland Annexation and Statehood Act is aimed at improving national security in the Arctic. The bill cites key shipping lanes for protecting the U.S. The bill would grant the president, here's the key, the authority to take whatever steps are necessary to acquire Greenland, including negotiate with Denmark. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced plans to meet with the Danish officials this week as a part of the Trump administration's attempts to buy the island. So this started out as a whisper and then a chatter, and the president would mention something here or there.
Rumble.
It appears to be growing, and the volume is increasing on this story.
They were like, okay, we can buy it from you. And I heard the president say, we can do this the easy way, the nice way, or we can just come in and take it. And also, there's not a lick of green in Greenland. All I've seen is snow.
I remember that from history class. Yes.
It's not green.
Iceland is green.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is a very important shipping, the seas there as the Arctic opens up and the ice melts, it's going to become more and more
important. And I know
important.
we've seen what's happening with Venezuela, so people are really interested and keen on what will happen with this.
That's right. We'll keep tabs on it for sure. Well, closer to home, our legislators are back in session, all right? And I know
Don't threaten us with a good time.
I know it's very exciting to think about what's the talk and tally right now for 2026. I want to bring in Christopher Heath. He's been following these Florida lawmakers for longer than you would care to say. Decades,
Yeah,
in
the beard
fact.
didn't used to have so much white in it when I started covering the legislature, but they're
It
back.
turned your hair white is what happened. Yeah, there's a lot of division happening right now.
You know, it's a lot of things are coming to a head in Tallahassee. All of it kind of starting today with the very first day of the session. Now, the first day of the session is always nice. It's hugs and kisses, and you're seeing people you haven't seen in a while, and there's fruit baskets
It's like the first
on
day of
all
school.
it. Yeah, that's probably not going to last, and let me explain why. The politics of it all enters into it finally. DeSantis is at term limits, and that means his power's somewhat waning up in Tallahassee. Unlike Rick Scott, who 8 years ago kind of had a Senate bid lined up, there's no office waiting for DeSantis. There's no Senate run out there on the horizon. The White House won't be available for at least another 3 years. So the question is, how much juice does he have left? And how much does he dominate this session as he has the previous session?
So these are all questions that are going to give you more gray hair.
Yeah, that's fine.
And how contentious will it be between him and the House and the Senate? It'll be very
Maybe
interesting.
some frenemies are made.
Oh,
boy.
okay.
Haven't heard that one in a while.
Is that a Mean Girls?
Probably.
All right, Christopher.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Well, you probably see them all the time out by the beach.
Yeah.
These paragliders. Yeah, it looks like a great time. Sometimes they're being dragged behind a boat and they've got, a parachute on. Other times they're self-powered. They have a big fan blowing them.
Yeah, and it looks like a good time out there until something goes horribly wrong, as they say in the movies. A cell phone video captured the moments a paraglider fell 500 feet out of the air and look at it, slams right into the water. That's like a brick hitting the water right there. It's in Riviera Beach, just north of Palm Beach. Lifeguards jumped into action to help save that paraglider, because if you hit the water that hard, you could get knocked out, and then the next thing, who knows what will happen. So let's listen to some sound here.
Once I got out there and I saw that he was above water and not drowning and alive, I was so proud to just get out there and bring him back in, because it could be so much worse.
Oof, it could be so much worse. Thank goodness for the quick work of those lifeguards. A nearby snorkeler helped free the man from those lines. Miraculously, the paraglider only suffered a couple of cuts and scrapes, if you can believe that.
So that one looks like, they have like a backpack that's a fan and they'll fly out there.
That's crazy.
But he was doing a spiral on the way down. If it were just a straight drop from 500 feet, this might be a much worse
different story,
ending. All right, we're going to take a look at your weather. You're talking about it a lot online, about that cold snap that is coming to Central Florida, and this one is going to hit.
Yeah, and it's going to last, too. Plus, we're revisiting efforts to protect some of Central Florida's most beloved animals. Some would call them iconic.
Welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock. Here is a live look out at beautiful Daytona Beach. Really nice looking day out there, and you better enjoy it, because pretty soon it's going to feel like Lake Michigan out there.
Pretty much.
When you started talking about how cold it was going to get maybe a week ago, obviously the models aren't hammered in.
Right.
It was maybe 40, and I was thinking cold. Now we're talking crazy low.
Right. Of course, we continue to hone the forecast, and we are talking about an Arctic blast arriving by Friday morning. So look at this. If we hit 35 or colder Friday morning, which we are forecasting to hit 35, that will be the coldest air we have seen since Christmas Day 2022. So here's what we're looking at. This is what you can expect when you wake up Friday mornings. You're getting ready for work or school. 35 for our morning low in Orlando. Look at that. I want you to look at Ocala, 27. So far this year, I know that's crazy talk. 30 is the coldest we've seen so far this season in Ocala. So they haven't even gotten to the 20s yet this season. But much of our interior northern counties looking in the 20s. 24 in Denellen, 28 potentially in Astor. But these are the numbers we always talk about when you factor in the winds, and it will be a little brisk out there Friday morning. So maybe when you're walking the dog, I feel like the dogs kind of like the brisk weather, but this
Depends
is what
on
it will
the
feel
dog.
like. Yeah, my golden doodle is kind of into it. He likes to do zoomies around the house, around the side of the yard. But it'll feel like mid-20s just about everywhere. So again, it's a day where you need to keep all the winter clothes out, because we are talking about an extended period in the 30s. And a lot of times, how people are always like, oh, I'm from insert whatever northern city.
Michigan,
this isn't really cold. Well, this is cold enough that we're talking about areas like Marion County. We could even be talking potentially about, pipes freezing in some spots, because you'll go below freezing and you'll stay below freezing for several hours. So in areas like Marion County, maybe even parts of Sumter County, you want to take pipe precautions, bring the pets in. I mean, really, your pets shouldn't be
By the way,
outside.
I will argue all day long, 35 here and 35 in Wisconsin. There's no comparison. It's way colder here when it's 35. We have more humidity or whatever it is. I don't know the scientific nature of things.
Well, we're just not used to it. And you can tell how long someone has lived here by how out of style their winter clothes are. So I have this really ugly coat I wore in Detroit in 2009. You're going to see it on Friday.
Yeah. Wait till you see my white snake jacket.
I can't wait to see it. And you might want to cover any sensitive vegetation. 7-day forecast. Again, we're talking about 30s again Saturday morning, and even into Monday, we're talking about about 37 on Monday. So keep out the cold weather gear because we are going to need it for the next several days.
All right, sounds good. You can also download our weather app whenever you need that. This is has the hurricane app built in, and you can get those temperatures right to your phone. Just search WKMG in your app store. Now, I'm going to send it over to Ginger Gadsden in the Digital Center.
Yeah, Matt, the scientific reason it feels colder when it's 35 here is because our blood has thinned out. We've been here so long. That's the reason. All right. Thank you, Matt and Julie. Well, we were the first to tell you yesterday that 6 more swans, unfortunately, have died at Lake Eola. And now there is a big push to make sure that the swans' habitat and where they live on that lake, that it's clean, safe, and protected for them. So your Orange County community correspondent, Troy Campbell, spoke with a person who's responsible for getting this petition started. You just hate to hear those new numbers of swans because they are just such beautiful creatures, and people expect to see them down there.
To hear that we've lost a third of the swan population, that's a lot.
Big number. This is true. Lisa Bell joining us now, getting ready for the 4 o'clock, getting geared up. And even though it may not be the huge economic driver that it once was, the citrus industry is still very important to our state.
Absolutely, and this is another issue that we always get a little sad when we talk about it because we are expecting some new numbers on what to expect from our citrus crop this year, and it's been in dramatic decline.
All right, our News 6 community correspondent Jana Manahalal joins us now. She has been diving into those numbers. Jana, tell us what you've been finding out.
Yeah, those numbers actually showing a steady incline after that years and years of that decline, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now, for the 2025-2026 year, Florida itself is expected to push out 12 million boxes of oranges alone. And between you and me, I really love oranges, so 1 million of those boxes might just be in my apartment alone, but neither here nor there. It's actually a really good sign because last year growers saw again that decline. Oranges were down about 2%, grapefruits down about also 8%. Now, all of this is a huge part of that industry. And another big part of that industry that's being impacted day to day is the weather. Weather plays a huge part, especially for Showcase of Citrus here in Claremont. Now, as we talked about a little bit ago, we hit that cold weather that we're expected to come into this coming week. And the cold snap is going to affect these plants. So what they're doing here at Showcase of Citrus is they're using their irrigation system to protect the trees, plants, and flowers that they already have.
Yeah, Janie, you hate to hear those numbers, and when you say that this cold weather is going to have an impact on the citrus now because it is going to be unusually cold. But looking at you and looking at the oranges, you paint such a pretty, beautiful pictures for such not so good numbers. So thanks for breaking that all down for us, Jana. Thank you.
All right, well, it's time for me to leave you ladies. I know you have the 4 o'clock coming along. Don't be so excited to get rid of me. I got to go work on the fire.
Yeah, exactly. All right, but before we head to the 4 o'clock, there's a new battle brewing over a road that could go right through a forest.
Yeah, we're going to have that story for you coming up right after the break.
Yeah, that's got a lot of people talking, and you can understand why, because you don't want to lose.
It's been a debate for a long time and will continue to be a debate.
Yeah, for a long time to come. All right, so we are getting ready for News 6 at 4. One of the big things we've been talking about all day, because we want you to be ready. So when this cold weather hits, you can't say, I had no idea it was coming, because our meteorologists have been on it for even starting last week, talking about when this was coming.
Yeah, also coming up, our Mark Lehman is looking into school safety and specifically the school resource officers who are there to protect them. News 6 at 4 starts now.